I'm Scott Aukerman, and I just have one question for you. Y'all ready for this?
Only whack niggas don't lick booty.
The conversations I hear, they think it's just rap and it's not an actual art form, and like kind of like belittle it. So I love to see that it gets that type of recognition for just straight raps.
For him to drop out of college and pursue his dreams. No.
Welcome to I gotta restart this one. This one's kind of awkward. Welcome to 10minutedailyvideo.net, your place for 10minutedailyvideo.net. I'm your host, Malcontent. Today's a weirdly personal episode. I didn't expect to make an episode like this ever, and I'm sort of happy to make the episode. I'm very annoyed about the wasted time. What am I talking about? I'm a fan of Kendrick Lamar.
Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up the skull.
And probably a bunch of other hip-hop artists that I've been ignoring my entire life. And I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how ripped off and betrayed I feel and how stupid I feel, because this is the kind of thing I yell at other people about, and I fell for it myself. Yeah. This episode is a personal story about why Kendrick Lamar is a huge inspiration and hero to me now.
All my friends are dead and they don't like me anymore. They've moved along, they've changed, and now they find me quite a bore. Way back then it was okay to be a little weird, but all my friends are dead.
Let's do some personal background info. When I was younger, when I was in high school, the only music I listened to was pop country, like Vince McNeil and Brooks and Dunn and Weird Al Yankovic, to the point where I would often not know which songs were parodies. And I certainly didn't know which songs were pastiches, because who was teaching little children what a pastiche was? Which is to say, with that information, really all I'm saying is that I was primed to like any music as long as I was given a reason to like it. And I went my entire life being one of these people, when you'd ask them what kind of music you like, I'd say everything but country and hip hop. I don't say that anymore. I like everything. I like country and hip hop. But here's the insidious thing. I thought maybe I was internally racist. I really thought that I was just rejecting hip hop for what were reasonable reasons to me, but I was always really worried that the reason I just didn't like hip-hop was some kind of bizarre cultural divide that seemed like it was nowhere else. Because, as it turns out, much of what you might call black culture, I totally vibe with. There's a lot that I've just been doing passively and didn't realize, because the thing about cultures are anyone can adopt them, as long as you're, adopting them fairly and giving appropriate consideration and not being an asshole about it. Appropriation is being an asshole, right? Stealing things without giving credit. My own personal culture is very bizarre. I do bonsai, but I don't do Japanese bonsai. I do Chinese bonsai, and even then, I don't even do that enough that I have to call it punk. I was not above learning about the culture in any meaningful way. One of my favorite shows of all time, one of the best television shows ever made, is Atlanta. Another amazing show is Swarm. And I haven't seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but I guarantee you I'm gonna like it when I watch it because Glover's involved. Donald Glover is a huge reason why I was convinced I was the problem that he didn't like hip hop. It was my fault. I was the problem. But like every other problem that I think is actually my problem, it turns out it was a f***ing systemic issue with capitalism. I should have known.
These folks over here, the corporations, are the real owners of hip hop by this time. Not the rappers, not the fans, not the culture, or even the gatekeepers. It's the industry itself and the corporate benefactors connected to it.
So while I'm beating myself up, not understanding why I dislike, not figuring out why I'm one of these guys that excludes an entire genre of music, even though I have to admit to myself that there are artists within the genre I like. There are a bunch of Japanese hip hop artists that I love. There's MC Chris is this nerd rapper that I've really liked. And more recently, Kid Cudi.
Well, I wasn't even gonna mention this, but last week I ran into a group of teenagers and they asked me, "Are you Kid Cudi?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm him." And they're like, "Oh my God, we love you, everything you do." So humiliating.
Kid Cudi really wouldn't have crossed my radar, except he was on Comedy Bang Bang. Also Reggie Watts, but you know, like comedians and like unserious hip hop, I didn't think counted. I didn't think nerd hip hop or any of this other hip hop counted. I thought because I didn't like Drake, right? Or 50 Cent or whatever, I relate to the Boondocks. I relate to it in a way where it's just capitalism is oppressing us and the things that we like to do are in constant judgment. That is true of both black culture in America and any other culture in America, or just if you're a little weirdo, like I was and am. If you're bizarre by the standard of everyone else around you, you develop and create your own culture. And, you know, if you like people, you share that with them around, you know, you share culture that you like. And that's something that I think I was just missing. And I'm like really, really, really disappointed in myself, because Kendrick Lamar is like one of the greatest songwriters in history, and I've been willfully ignoring his. It's worse than you guys think. I'm the title card artist for the Rap Critic.
What up, y'all? Rap Critic here.
Yeah, like I go way out of my way to make sure I don't do anything crazy. Like I draw everyone very accurately to how they look as much as I can. If I goof on anyone, I make it very clear that it's a silly cartoon, because I'm very woke. I am very aware of how it looks for a pale ass white guy to be the title card artist for the Rap Critic. But it's way worse when I'm not a fan of hip hop.
Sick Drake, I hate you like I'm young.
So this is, I don't know what this is a personal thank you to Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar, thank you. Thank you for unlocking this in me, where I now feel comfortable enough to go out and learn about this culture and learn about the stuff that I was ignoring, because I kind of reduced it all down to bitches, drugs, and money. And it's not all that. There's so much nuance. And I was so stupid to think that there wasn't, because there's always nuance. Kendrick Lamar and battling Drake, I learned so much from FD Signifier's video, which I recommend you watch. It's 3 hours. It's very easy to get through. That seems, that's a pejorative to any 3-hour video. I feel like I always have to caveat a long video with it's easy to watch, because I'm a huge fan of an 11-hour video about why his name's Vic Mignogna. He's a piece of shit. You know who he is.
If I'm doing a 12-year-old boy, like if I'm doing that.
I recommend that to people, but I feel like I have to caveat it with it's easy to watch, even though it's 11 hours. I got to stop doing that, because you go to a movie and you watch 3 hours of a movie, you're willing to watch hours of documentation. You just take breaks. Okay.
And you do the 12-year-old I do a lot of 12-year-old boys.
FD Signifier's video was so helpful to me, and it unlocked me to watch other videos that were even more helpful, like this delayed gratification video.
And I see new people discovering the art of rappers like Kendrick Lamar every year.
It's so good.
And that's why I love Rap Sam. That's the power of art. And that's the art of delayed gratification. Because art has the power to touch the hearts and minds of not just everyone alive the moment it's released, but anyone and everyone who comes after us.
This quick video that just kind of describes the music video, They're Not Like Us, this is so fucking helpful for somebody who didn't grow up in Compton.
Like this guy, DJ Mustard, who made the beat for Not Like Us. He's also from Compton, but get back on track. We're talking about Kendrick. Just kidding, we're talking about Steve Lacy.
I lived in Detroit. There's some cultural things that I personally fucking relate to when it comes to hip hop. And Drake specifically is like indicative of everything that made me not want to like engage with an entire genre of music. I'm not blaming Drake specifically, just like Kendrick isn't. I mean, he is, and I am. It's really the cult, like it's really the systemic injustice of capitalism that forces you to only see what you're like forced to see, right? and you don't realize there's more out there, and then you avoid it. You avoid it. It's antithetical to capitalism in the first place to limit how much people see, but for some reason, it's ingrained in us to do this weird exclusionary bullshit.
Finna crash on his body, I'm John Stockton. What? Beat your and hide the Bible if God watching.
All right, this episode is particularly ranty. You can tell why, right? I look like a crazy racist. Like, it just seems like I was avoiding hip hop music because I got a problem with black people, and I just don't. And I feel like when I over-explain that I don't have a problem, and in fact I'm definitionally woke, right? That almost rings worse. It rings like I'm just aware of what all this sounds like.
Trying to be a rapper, like this is like what rappers do, wear jackets and sunglasses.
So what I want to thank Kendrick for specifically, besides just unlocking this stuff for me, is that Kendrick Lamar and his battle against Drake wasn't this it wasn't a rap beef. It was, but it was more than that. It was so much more than that. It was like art versus capital. Like, I can't describe how obvious it is to me and how great of a real life example and what a great knight and champion we have in this incredibly fashionable man.
Sometimes you gotta pop out and show. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up the skull.
Right? This guy, this flashy dressing motherfucker, this incredibly cool dude with this charismatic smile, incredible lyricism, knows how to pick talent. DJ Mustard might be one of the most incredible DJs ever worked, ever. Maybe since DJ Jazzy Jeff. I'm pulling things out of my ass. I happen to know what DJs are like and how DJs can be good. That's like again, the fact that I was open to dance and electronic and industrial music, that one of my favorite songs by KMFDM is Dogma. It's just rap. It is rap. It's a lady rapping.
We used to hate people. Now we just make fun of them. It's more effective that way.
The lesson here is that Kendrick Lamar took art and yes, it was specific to hip hop, and yes, it was incredibly specific to Compton hip hop, but that little that area, that small area of the map, right, is this giant like epicenter of artistic expression that I didn't realize was there, and Kendrick showed me.
Well, Compton is part of the greater Los Angeles area, so he still says he's from Los Angeles, which is why this clown appears in Kendrick Lamar's video. He's a Los Angeles legend named Tommy the Clown who keeps kids off the streets through dance. He also invented a popular dance called crumping.
Everywhere there's one of these Comptons we're not allowed to listen to because there's a gatekeeping piece of shit Drake in the way, and all you can see is Drake, and you say, I don't want Drake. And they say, well, that's hip hop. Drake is hip hop. They don't tell you that Drake isn't hip hop. They tell you Drake is hip hop, but it's not true. So's Kendrick. And Kendrick is there for you, the person frustrated with these systems that don't work, that hold everyone down, but they tell you that they hold you down specifically because you are wrong, because you think, and you're not wrong for thinking. You're not wrong for wanting things to be better. You're not wrong for wanting asshole pedophiles to be called out for their asshole pedophile behavior.
Say, Drake, I hate you like I'm young.
You're not wrong, and Kendrick's got your back because he's going to point his finger at all of these injustices with an incredibly loud microphone and hopefully indicate that capital is the real boogeyman. It's the real villain here. Also Drake. Drake is also a villain.
You might not be into hip-hop as a genre, but to say that it's not music, to belittle the art form that I love, is ignorant at best and straight up racist at worst.
Thanks for watching. Whew, this one got away from me. I have had a lot of revelations since December Some of them have been incredibly tragic. Some of them have been revelatory to the point where I've had sobbing fits of unmatched joy. That I hope all of you feel one day. I'm really embarrassed that, you know, like, this was a hard video to make. It sounds so stupid. I hate being ripped off. I hate it. Anyway, I'm going to go listen to some Thought Squad because I need to learn how to make a pound cake.
I'm gonna show you how to make a pound cake.